Hey everybody, welcome back to Teensy Vintage. This is Teresa. Thanks for joining me today. I know it's been a little while since I made a video for y'all, but August had ideas about what was going to happen with life that I had no control over. Anyway, the good news is that everything is fine, and I was able to get back into the studio and make a piece in my art journal, and I'm going to share that with y'all today. We're going to start off by pasting down some old book pages and magazine pages. Just anything with some text on it. And I had that picture of those ladies in their shorts from the 30s, I think. They're going to get covered up, so it really doesn't matter. I know a lot of people are like, why do you put all that stuff down and then cover it up? Well, part of the reason is it gets my creative juices flowing. And the other part is that it adds texture to the page, visual and, actual sensual texture with, touch. Not that I'm going to be touching my art a lot, but, it just looks cool. So we're going to cover up quite a bit of this page. I am going to leave some negative space or some empty space in the top and bottom left corners, just for visual interest. I don't want the whole thing to be covered because I kind of want to direct where your eye is going to go. We'll have a focal point later and we'll be able to see that. This is some cool diagram paper. I don't remember what it was a diagram of. I have a lot of old books with diagrams and science and math stuff in them that look really cool. So I like to add them. All right, we're going to cut off the excess here just to make sure our page is sort of neat. And also dry it a little bit, make sure the glue dries before I start putting other things on top. Okay. So I have that stencil over there. It's brand new, and I'm very excited to use it. But first I want to get some color down on the page. So I pull out our distressed oxide inks and just auditioning some colors here. And I end up going with a nice brown, which is a vintage photo. That's an oxide. The other ones are just distress ink. One is Rustic Wilderness, which is the green. And then later we're going to use Stormy Sky, which is a nice blue color. Got some gray in it. And I'm just putting the green down. My advice is to just go for it. If you're not sure about what to do next, either take a break or just start putting some color down. You can always cover up the color with some gesso or another piece of collage paper. It's okay. There's no reason to fret too much about this part of the process. So we'll dry that green ink. I tried to get it to be a little drippy, but since it wasn't like a spray ink and it was just me applying it with a wet paintbrush, it didn't want to drip very much. And I didn't want to add too much water to it because that would dilute it and then we would have a very pale color. So I just painted some on there, and now I'm using the brown, the vintage photo color, and I'm kind of doing the same thing. And I'm just adding a little water here and there, but not too much. And then I'm just kind of pooling the ink. When I say pooling the ink, I mean just kind of making a little blob and just letting the ink kind of rest there. So when it dries, it will dry darker than the other ink around it. And you can make different hues, different values rather, of your colors by putting more or less on the page. And here I'm actually going to go and get a darker ink this one is, oh, what is this one? This one's Walnut Stain. Just because I literally wanted it to be a lot darker than the other brown. So in that case, yes, grab another ink pad with the color that you want. But you can make different shades of the green, for example, by adding more green or just very lightly using the green. And now I'm just going in and making my drips, my faux drips, a little drippier and adding just a few splotches. I really want this to just look kind of organic. All right. For our final color, we've got that Stormy Sky, which I really love this color. It's a beautiful blue with a gray tint to it. And I'm just putting in here and there. I'm not really trying to blend it because the other ink is dry. So I'm just adding it just to give it a little bit of moodiness. You know, brown and green can be very moody, of course, but the blue-gray just adds that little bit of melancholy melodrama, shall we say. I think it'll make more sense later. And we just need a little more ink, and I'm just trying to make some fake drips as well. This page just didn't want to get too drippy for me, and that's okay. Just getting the edges too, just to make sure there's color all the way to the end. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to use a little bit of gesso to kind of push back some of this color. I know you can't really tell in the video, but it's quite bright. And adding the gesso is going to kind of, you know, chill everything out a little bit. And it's going to give me a very clear, clean surface to stencil on in a little bit. And I know some people are like, Teresa, why are you covering up everything you just did? You took so much time to get those drippy drips. I'm like, yes, I did. And they look cool. And you can still see some of them. But I also wanted a kind of a surface to play on, so to speak, to put my focal point and the other ephemera that I'm going to use. All right, so we'll make sure this gesso is nice and dry. Okay, so this is a Finnabair stencil from Prima Marketing. It's called Rocket Science. It just came out. It's beautiful. I love the design. It's got some mathematical equations on there, and I'm really not sure what the other thing is, but it just looks cool. So here I am, stenciling, adding more ink, and it is just not going through. Well, it turns out this stencil is very thick. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be this thick. It's much thicker than all my other stencils. And you can see me here trying. I'm like, maybe I need a fresh little pad, but nope. I barely got a line to come through. So I said, you know what? Sorry, Finnabair stencil. You're going to go back on the shelf for now. And I got out a stencil from the Crafters Workshop. Thinner, much easier to apply ink to the page through this stencil. Because it didn't have to go as far. Also, this stencil had bigger holes. So, who knows? I'm going to try to use that Finnabair stencil with something else, maybe with some texture paste or something. Because ink just didn't want to work. But that's okay. It led me to go with this stencil, which I was very happy with. And just got a couple half circles going here. And these will help make a little bit of flow on the page for my focal point, which is going to come up in just a minute here. I'm also going to go around the edges of the page just to kind of finish those off. Zhuzh it a little. And I realized I hadn't re-rounded that top corner there. All right, so this lady was part of the new Tim Holtz ephemera pack. And I'll list all the supplies below, y'all. I am roughing up the edges here with the little distress tool. And also going to go around with my black archival ink. And I've got these stickers. They're from different places. The big rose is, I think, from Hobby Lobby. And the other little ones are from Temu. And I'm just trying to figure out a good arrangement here. And I want to get rid of the white outline of the sticker. It's too white looking. It makes it look really fake. So I'm cutting that off. Yeah, and I'll do the same with the books. Sorry, there's a bit of glare on that book sticker, so you can't really tell what it is, but it's a group of old books. I didn't end up using the ones over on the left, so those are going to go back in my stash, but the rows and the books lent themselves very nicely to this page. I had to get out the little scissors because my big scissors are not that sharp anymore. I need to resharpen them or get some different scissors because they did not want to cut this sticker, which is weird because it's not that thick. It's, it's on cardstock, which is really nice, but yeah, scissors should be able to cut that. We're adding a little more distress to that image. It's just a little too pristine looking, so we're gonna rough up the edge there. And we've got our books, and okay, we need some glue. This glue is a bit of wet glue from scrapbook.com. I use it every once in a while. Since this was a cardstock piece, I figured we'd use some wet glue to get that down. The rose is on, it's a sticker, it's on sticky paper, but I wanted to make sure that it stays put. So I put some glue stick down, and then I'm going to put the sticker right on top of that. Yeah, and it'll dry clear, so I don't have to worry about that. Same with our oh, no, never mind. Just putting the sticker on there with that one. I guess it felt sticky enough. And just adding just a little bit of ink, whatever was left on the cushion there. And now I'm going in with my Stabilo All Pencil, and I'm going to activate that with water just to give a nice outline. I'm going to wipe off the edge of my brush so I don't get a big splooge there. Oh, and there's my head in the way. Sorry about that, y'all. I am getting to the point where I can't see very well anymore, so I have to get really close to the page. I did go to the eye doctor the other day, and yours truly is going to be wearing progressives very soon. Just part of aging, and yeah, I am glad that progressive glasses don't look like the old ones back in the day with the little half moons and all that jazz. And I don't have to wear readers, which is nice, but holy cow. Yeah, you get to a certain age and your vision is like, guess what? We're changing. So we just got to roll with it. Growing old, it's a privilege, y'all. Be kind to yourself. All right, so I needed more little numbers and doodads on this, so I pulled out some Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous sets. I have a lot of the sets with the numbers and words. Here I just wanted part of the number to show up, so I covered it up with a piece of scrap paper. I'm also using that scrap paper to get the rest of the ink off of my stamps. I'll also use these, junk pages, I guess, in other projects down the road. They make interesting pages for collage and whatnot, because they've got a bunch of weird stamps on them. And if they're all in archival ink, then they're not going to run or bleed. So that's just another way to use what you have and have something really unique. Just adding a little more black to the page just to make things stand out. And we're putting away that last stamp. And here we're going to do just a little more outlining, just to make it stand out a little more. I'm trying to think what else this page needs. And I'm like, oh yeah, maybe a little bit of outlining. So I've got a super small tipped micron pen. That's from Sakura. And just doing a little bit of mark making there. And that's it, y'all. I really appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I hope to have another video for you next week. Until then, take care of yourself and be good to each other.